Welcome to today's talk, Tourism Around Lane County. Today we're joined by Rick Dancer and Matt Peterson of the Willamette National Forest. And Matt is the Assistant Recreation Officer at the Forest, and we really appreciate you joining us today to talk about outdoor recreation. But before we get into that topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about what an outdoor recreation staff officer does?
Sure. Yeah. So I work in recreation for the Willamette National Forest, and so that's managing recreation from the Oak Ridge area all the way up to Detroit. And what falls under recreation is trails, campgrounds, picnic areas, day use areas, wilderness areas, and then even some of the commercial events like running races, biking races, rafting and guiding on the McKenzie River. A lot of that falls under recreation, and so that's all stuff that I help support, manage across the forest.
So one of the issues you have to be facing, I'm all over Oregon, and you see the overuse. And as soon as something gets publicized, Blue Pool's a great example. Not yours maybe, but how they just get overrun with things. You guys had an incident at Crater Lake recently. So what do you do? How does the Forest Service deal with that?
Right. So Blue Pool is ours. It is on the Willamette National Forest, and I guess I'll say that honestly, it's a wonderful problem to have that people are out recreating on their national forests. But it causes problems. It has problems, especially when we see the huge increases in use, the changes in use patterns, where we don't have the facilities, we don't have the parking, we don't have the infrastructure there to support it. And so we do our best to increase staffing, to provide more resources. We look for additional funding to help us take care of these areas. But really, we try to prioritize and use the money we have in the best ways we can, and try to be strategic in how we invest our resources and our staffing to try to provide these great opportunities.
Is that where some of my user fee goes?
Yeah. So anytime.
So I don't mind paying that if I know that you know what I mean.
Yep. Yeah. So if you pay, get a recreation pass or Northwest Forest pass, that funding does come immediately back to the forest, and it pays staff time. It pays for cleaning toilets and taking care of the trash. So those fees are an important part of how we get the work done and take care of these areas.
And you mentioned funding, and I know the Congress right now, I think, is trying to pass some funding bills for the United States, and Forest Service is part of that. Mm-hmm. So funding, just talk a little bit about the challenges around funding. I know you're not getting everything you want, and you have been hosting these meetings talking about different types of fees, permit fees for utilizing the wilderness areas and such. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about how those meetings have gone, and then kind of maybe just broadly a little bit about the funding and kind of how the Forest Service maybe prioritizes that.
Right. So, our funding hasn't kept up with visitation, but the fees are important. And so we have had a number of meetings recently around our proposal for wilderness permits and a fee for those permits. The feedback, it's across the spectrum. No, I've received emails with lots of colorful language. I've received lots of constructive criticism, grudging acceptance. So it really runs the spectrum. No one loves to pay fees, but it is something that we use and need to help take care of these areas.
And I've heard your commercials on the radio, some commercials that are talking about getting people back out into the forest and into the woods. Mm-hmm. Why is that a big push right now for you guys? Do you see this underused also in some ways?
Yeah, we have lots of partners who talk about the benefits of recreation and outdoor recreation, and health is definitely one of those. And so we do try to, we don't do a lot of self-promotion as a government agency, but we do really think hard about who we partner with. We partner with Northwest Youth Corps to get youth out and try to get them to have good experiences out in the woods, whether they're working on a trail crew, or we have an outdoor ambassadors program where we have someone who works with underserved and underrepresented communities and brings folks out, and so that they can have positive recreation experiences in hopes that they'll come back and really reap those benefits of recreating and getting outdoors and everything that comes from that.
So one of the things we like to end with is just a kind of an open-ended question about, what you'd like to share, priorities for the Willamette or the Forest Service in general, and anything you'd like to close with today.
Yeah, I think a few things. I think one is, it's great that people are out recreating on their public lands. There's so much to do. There's endless opportunities. It really is one of the most affordable ways to go out and have fun with friends and family. You don't need all the fancy gear to go out. If you have some nice shoes and some clothes that are for the weather, that's sometimes all you need. We have lots of opportunities for people who want to come out and help. That's another way to enjoy your public lands, is to find a group to volunteer with, whether it's trail work or working in the wilderness areas, education, that kind of thing. So there's great opportunities there. And lastly, we just always encourage people to be prepared, to know where they're going, let someone know when they should be back, and just be aware of what's out there, and don't push yourself. But there's amazing opportunities and lots of fun things to do out there.
And if you pack it in, please, for gosh sakes, pack it out.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than going to a forest and you see somebody else's garbage that they leave behind. That's just, it's unacceptable.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to love where you live for sure. And one of the things I'll just mention is, again, our Adventure Center, we sell all the permits to get out and enjoy the forest. So be sure and stop by our Adventure Center, talk to the staff there, buy the permits you need to go out and enjoy the forest, and just get on out there. So we really want to thank Matt for joining us today and talking about outdoor recreation and the forest. And Rick, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
You're all over the state promoting being outdoors, so we really
I'm in a
appreciate
lot of
you.
forests now. I'm finding myself, and I love them,
We really appreciate you, and we've got a lot going on in Lane County, so be sure and check out our events page. And until next time, have a great day.